I was barely 2 minutes into my lunch break when Crystal called everyone out onto the floor. Training session, she said, as if it weren't a complete setup. The big screen came to life. Right at the top of the first slide, in bold letters, was my name. Zelda's client engagement tracker, Crystal announced, wearing a smug smile. Or, as I thought of it, a full year of careful notes she clearly saw as useless busy work. I froze. My sandwich was still in my hand, only half unwrapped. All 25 people in the room turned to look at me at the same time. I didn't move. Crystal started clicking through the slides. Birthdays, client notes, driver preferences, small details I had collected quietly, often after hours, never part of the official script. No one ever asked me to track any of it. These were the things that made clients stay. She kept going. "This one's my favorite," she said, pausing on a highlighted comment. "Client's daughter just started chemo. Be gentle on the late fee call." Then she laughed. Half the room stared at the floor. The other half watched her, completely silent. "You people think this is good client work?" Crystal said, scanning the room. "This is emotional babysitting. Logistics isn't therapy." Then she closed the folder. Delete. I swear she hit the key like she was crushing a spider. The screen flashed. Everything vanished. An entire year of work, gone in a second. "No need to clog the drive with fluff," she said. "Let's stick to real metrics next quarter." No one spoke. Not even the guy who once asked me to help him write a sympathy email to a client whose warehouse burned down. I caught his eye. He looked away. "Before we go on, quick note, while you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." I stood there, my chest tight, fingers twitching. My mouth was dry, but my palms were sweaty. I felt hot, humiliated, angry, and a little lightheaded. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. A familiar number. I almost ignored it. Part of me wanted to let it ring out of pure spite, but something pushed me to answer. "Zelda Winters speaking. This is Chloe Banner from Forward Loop Logistics. We've been following your client retention work at Tolvex. Do you have a moment to talk about an opportunity?" My brain was still trying to catch up. Chloe kept going. "What just happened back there? That was a gift. I think you know what I mean." Her voice was calm and steady, like she already knew I'd pick up before I even touched the screen. I stepped toward the glass door, nodding even though no one could see me. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself forward. "Yeah," I said. "I have a moment." And I walked out of the room while Crystal was still talking. I stepped outside, still on the call with Chloe, and leaned against the brick wall beside the dumpster. My heart was pounding like I'd just run from something with teeth. She said she'd follow up later that afternoon. I said, "Sure." Then I ended the call, locked my phone, and shoved it deep into my jacket pocket like it might explode. I had no idea that call was about to turn my entire life sideways. But if I'm being honest, the real change started long before that moment. About 18 months earlier, I joined Tolve Freight Systems as a dispatch associate. My first week, I nearly quit out of sheer boredom. Route tracking, ticket logs, delivery confirmations. Same cycle every day. Get blamed for things you couldn't control. Crystal was already my supervisor back then. She ran the place like an assembly line. If something wasn't written in the manual, you didn't touch it. You didn't ask questions. You didn't suggest changes. I learned quickly. Don't improvise. Punch in. Keep quiet. Punch out. But I started noticing patterns. Drivers called in with the same problems over and over. Wrong warehouse hours, broken scanners, late pickups. Nothing ever changed. Tickets stayed open. The same issues came back every week. Clients called to complain about late deliveries or rude drivers. No one followed up. Everyone just assumed the clients would keep coming back. They didn't. We lost 2 mid-size accounts in my second month. No exit interviews, No feedback meetings. They were just gone. Crystal's response was simple. Not a good fit anyway. But I couldn't stop thinking about what those clients had actually said before they left. The woman from Eaglewood Floral mentioned that our drivers kept ringing the front bell instead of the side bell. That was it. Something small. Something easy. But it mattered to her. So I opened a new tab on my dashboard. I didn't tell anyone. I started tracking things the system didn't care about. Repeat complaints, personal details drivers shared on calls, odd warehouse notes, customer habits and quirks. Not for reports, just for me. So I could head problems off before they blew up. One driver mentioned his daughter was graduating and asked for Friday off. The system flagged it as a scheduling conflict. I remembered it anyway. I reassigned him without making a big deal out of it. He came back on Monday with donuts. Another client said her dog had surgery and she missed a delivery window. I added a quick note. Hope he's doing okay. She replied with 3 heart emojis. I don't even like dogs. People just thought I was chatty. One guy in routing started calling me Dispatcher Oprah. But things changed. Clients began asking for me by name. Not every time, but often enough to notice. They knew I'd remember if their regular dock manager was on vacation. They knew I wouldn't talk to them like they were just another delivery number. Crystal noticed fast. Don't waste time on side chatter, she snapped one morning. You're not a therapist. I nodded. I didn't stop. What really bothered her was that I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't cutting rates or handing out freebies. I was just listening. So I kept going, just more quietly. The more notes I logged, the clearer it became. I started checking in on driver families, writing down small things. A kid starting college, a sick dog, a warehouse manager planning to retire. It never took more than a sentence or two. One Tuesday, I was reviewing missed ticket confirmations when Marty Preston, our oldest ice cream distributor, called in. He said his order looked wrong. He sounded off too. Tired. Distracted. While we talked, he slipped it in casually. My old man passed last week. That was it. No pause. No emotion. He just kept talking like he was commenting on the weather. After the call, I pulled up his profile and added a line. Father passed away. Don't push next week's billing. Then I did something Crystal would have fired me for. I sent a handwritten card. All it said was, thinking of you and your family, Zelda at Tolve. A month later, Marty signed up for our seasonal express lane. Premium rate. No discounts. No pressure. He just signed the paperwork and said, glad you're still here. That's when I knew I wasn't guessing anymore. This was working. The next big test was the vineyard. Pamela Torres ran a small boutique winery in Oregon. High expectations. Zero patience for delays. She once threatened to switch to FedEx because a pallet of tasting kits arrived chipped. We had a rough month. Weather wrecked her route. She filed a complaint. I followed up immediately, explained exactly what happened, then added a short note saying her holiday inventory looked incredible in her last promotion. Nothing dramatic. Nothing fake. She wrote back, you actually read that. The next week, she upgraded her plan. More service. No negotiation. I wasn't flattering people. I wasn't faking sympathy. I was just making it clear they weren't being ignored. And it wasn't only clients. Drivers started changing too. One driver, Drew, used to argue every time I assigned him the Denver loop. Said the client rep was cold and weirdly intense. I called her. I listened. Turns out she hated early deliveries because her kid had a therapy session. We pushed the delivery back 1 hour. The next time Drew ran the route, he came back with a breakfast burrito and said, she smiled at me. After that, he requested Denver on Fridays. They weren't stupid. They knew I paid attention. Anytime someone had a question, it turned into, hey, ask Zelda. She knows what that guy likes. Crystal hated it. "This isn't a popularity contest," she snapped. "You're not their buddy." I looked at her and said, "No, I'm the reason they're still here." Her eyes narrowed. "Stop wasting time on soft stuff. Stick to protocols." I didn't argue. I didn't nod either. I just kept taking notes and getting results. She could pretend it didn't matter. But the calls kept coming to my line. Every driver switch, every client save, every small detail added up. So when the annual regional meeting rolled around, I already knew something was coming. Big room, free donuts, George Langley, the CEO, standing up front in his usual bad blazer and stiff smile. I sat near the back with dispatch, sipping burnt coffee, trying not to look smug. He clicked through the usual slides: fuel efficiency, shipment errors, turnover rates. Then he hit the next screen. Bright blue chart. One line shooting straight up. "Client satisfaction is up 38% across the region," he said. "That's the biggest increase in 6 years." People clapped. Not a standing ovation, but enough. Langley continued. "Retention is up. Several clients have upgraded tiers. Driver complaints are down. Something's working." My stomach flipped. Not nerves. Something else. Relief. Finally, someone noticed. He didn't say my name. He didn't need to. Everyone in dispatch turned and looked at me, even the ones who used to roll their eyes when I asked for birthday dates or dog names. Crystal didn't clap. She sat with her arms crossed, one foot bouncing hard under the table. By the time the meeting ended, I could feel her watching me. I barely made it to the break room before she followed. "Let's talk," she said, her jaw tight. She waited until the door shut behind us. "You think I don't know what that was?" she hissed. "What? What was?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She stepped closer. "This whole emotional manipulation act you've been running," she said. "It's not professional. It's not scalable. And you're making this department look unstable." Clients seem to disagree. Her jaw tightened. She reached into her folder, pulled out a printed memo, and slapped it onto the table. "You're being reassigned," she said. "I want a full-year analysis of your client interactions. Every conversation, every note, every driver reroute. Format it for executive review." I stared at her. "That's a punishment." She didn't blink. "It's a performance evaluation. You wanted attention. Now you've got it." I took the paper and walked out. I didn't say another word. It took me 3 weeks. I stayed late every night, ate dinner out of vending machines, dug through everything: call recordings, chat logs, internal notes. I built graphs. I linked client tier upgrades to contact frequency, matched revenue increases to follow-ups I sent after complaints, cross-checked renewals against personal outreach. 60 pages, labeled, indexed, clean, proof. When I handed it in, I didn't even feel tired. I felt dangerous. Crystal took the report like it was a stack of receipts. Didn't thank me, didn't comment. "I'll review this," she said. "Hope you do," I replied, already turning away. She called after me. "Just so we're clear, this doesn't make you irreplaceable." I didn't turn around. I didn't say it did. I kept walking. The email hit my inbox the next morning. Subject: mandatory training, client communication refresher. Crystal had booked the entire conference room from 9 to 11. Everyone in dispatch was required. I knew it wasn't a refresher. I knew exactly what it was. Still, I showed up. Took my usual seat by the window, second row. Crystal stood at the front, one hand on the mouse, the other tucked into her blazer like she was running a seminar at MIT. "Thanks for coming," she said. "Today is about improving how we communicate with clients, what works and what wastes time." She clicked. My stomach dropped. There it was on the projector, the cover page of my report, the title, the charts, the engagement metrics. blown up on the screen like a middle school science fair display. She didn't look at me. Let's review some examples, she said. Click. Slide 2. A note I logged about a shipment delayed during a family funeral week. Crystal read it aloud in a mocking tone. Client requested skipping Monday due to emotional stress. Confirmed and scheduled follow-up for Friday. She looked around the room. Seriously? We're documenting emotional stress now? No one laughed. Click. Another slide. Customer's kid broke leg. Allow extra time on unload calls. She smirked. Who cares if someone's kid broke a leg? Are we sending balloons now? Still, no one laughed. She kept going. 10 more slides. A note about a driver's wedding. One about a warehouse manager's retirement party. Every single one she twisted into a joke. I sat frozen. I couldn't move. I caught Drew's eye across the room. He looked angry. So did Pamela, one of the other associates. These are distractions, Crystal said. This kind of hand-holding slows us down. Our job is logistics, not life coaching. Then the final slide appeared. The full chart I had built. Revenue growth plotted against engagement follow-ups. She didn't explain it. She didn't deny it. She just hovered her mouse over the shared drive folder. I've decided we don't need this clutter anymore. One click. Delete. She turned back to the room. It's a waste of server space. Starting next quarter, we'll focus on hard metrics only. No one spoke. You could hear the AC humming. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to call her out. I wanted to yell. Instead, I sat there gripping the chair so hard my knuckles ached. Crystal moved on like nothing happened. Pulled up a generic HR slide deck about email tone. My ears were ringing. My face was burning. But I wasn't embarrassed. I was furious. And I wasn't broken. Because I knew something she didn't. That report wasn't just data. It was people. And those people still trusted me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I slipped out of the conference room like I was heading to the bathroom. It buzzed again. I answered on the second ring. Zelda Winters speaking. This is Chloe Banner, Forward Loop Logistics. Do you have 5 minutes? I stepped into the hallway and pressed my back against the wall. You've got 3, I said. She chuckled. Fair enough. I'll keep it short. We've been following your work at Tolve. We know it's not official, but the client engagement system, that was you, right? I didn't answer. Chloe didn't wait. We spoke to 5 vendors who renewed or upgraded this year. Every one of them mentioned you. So did 2 drivers we recently hired away from Tolve. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed calm. Okay, I said. So what are you offering? Director of Client Integration. Base salary $500,000. Profit sharing included. Flexible team. Remote optional. You build it your way. I didn't blink. And you're not asking me to bring over client data. I'm not asking you to change, she said. I'm asking you to keep being exactly who you are. That was it. That was the entire pitch. No slide deck, no 5-round interview process. Just someone who saw the value without needing a chart to prove it. I nodded to no one. I accept. I'll send the contract right now, she said. PDF with e-sign. Good. Send it. I ended the call and pulled the conference room door open. Crystal was still standing up front, going on about tightening communication chains like she hadn't just torched my work 15 minutes earlier. I walked straight to the front without asking permission, stepped directly into the projector light, and faced the room. Quick announcement, I said, loud enough to stop her mid-sentence. Crystal's mouth snapped shut. I'm resigning, I said, effective immediately. Half the room blinked. The other half looked like they were waiting for a joke. Crystal laughed once. That's not how this works. You'll need to... I pulled out my phone, opened the PDF, and turned the screen toward her. Signed contract. Forward Loop Logistics. Director level. I'm done. She reached for the phone like she thought she had the authority. I pulled it back. I don't need your approval. From the corner of the room, someone stood up. George Langley, the CEO. He didn't say a word. He just adjusted his blazer and slipped out of the room like he wanted nothing to do with what was coming next. Crystal stepped forward. You can't just leave without proper offboarding. Watch me. I turned back to the team. For what it's worth, if any of you want to work somewhere, people actually give a damn, you know where to find me. I didn't wait for applause. I didn't need it. I walked out calm as hell, the door swinging shut behind me. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped into Forward Loop's downtown office for the first time. Small space, concrete floors, startup energy. Every person I passed smiled like I'd already made them money. Chloe came out of her glass cubicle with her arms wide open. Welcome to your kingdom, she said. My office wasn't huge, but the nameplate was real. The title read, Director of Client Integration. I dropped my bag, cracked my knuckles, and opened a blank spreadsheet. 2 hours later, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but the name made me stop cold. Pamela Torres, The Vineyard. I answered. Hey Pamela, it's Zelda. She laughed, loud and real. Knew you'd pick up. Didn't even have to go through a switchboard. I smiled. What's up? You wouldn't happen to know if Forward Loop is taking on any temperamental wine people who hate freight windows and love extra cushioning. No pitch, I said. You know how I work. Exactly why I'm calling. By the end of that call, we were already sketching out a custom shipping tier. An hour later, Marty, the ice cream guy. My phone said your name popped up on LinkedIn, he said. Had to check if you landed somewhere smart. I didn't even explain the new platform. He told me he wanted in. The third call came from a regional pet supply chain. They'd always been lukewarm at Tolve. Never sent holiday cards, never gave feedback. Zelda, the guy said, you're the one who remembered my dog had hip surgery last year. Rufus, I said. Black lab, slow on stairs. Silence. Then, how soon can we move our Midwest lanes over? By the end of week 1, I had 3 switchover calls scheduled, and 2 of them were already reviewing contracts. No cold emails, no chasing. Just people who found me and wanted to follow. Meanwhile, I started hearing stories from my old co-workers, the ones still trapped in that beige Tolvex maze. Crystal was doing cold outreach now, using templated emails. She even changed the footer to include her direct line, something that used to be reserved only for top-tier clients. It didn't matter. No one was responding. One client forwarded her email to me with a single line attached, too little, too late. Word spread fast. Forward Loop didn't offer discounts. We didn't push sales. But people talked. They actually listen. That sentence kept showing up everywhere. Messages, comment threads, LinkedIn posts. Every call came in hot. Clients were already loyal before I said a word. Crystal must have been losing her mind watching names drop off the Tolve sheet. I hadn't poached anyone. They came on their own. They remembered birthdays, tone, care. All I had to do was answer the phone. By week 4, Chloe stopped pretending to be surprised when the numbers came in. 43%, she said, holding up her iPad. Month over month. I was on my 3rd coffee, building out another onboarding doc. Give it another week, I said. Pamela's contract closes tomorrow, and Marty just asked for exclusive routing. She grinned. You're not building a client list, she said. You're building a fan base. She wasn't wrong. I wasn't even halfway through my 1st quarter, and the switchovers kept coming. Small accounts. Medium ones. Then the 2 that hit hardest. The Vineyard. The ice cream distributor. Both officially announced they were ending their long-term toll contracts. Pamela's exit email went public. A full LinkedIn post. No names mentioned, but she thanked the person who treated me like more than a case number. Marty commented with a thumbs up emoji and wrote, 100% agree. That afternoon, Chloe walked over and slapped a sticky note on my monitor. It just said, keep going. That same day, someone forwarded me an email from Tolve. Subject line, we miss working with you. It was signed by Crystal. I recognized the format instantly. Copy-paste. A few fields filled in. Client name. Last contact date. One sad sentence trying to sound personal. Hope Rufus is doing better. Only problem was, Rufus had passed away 6 months ago. The client had posted about it publicly. They never replied. The next email Crystal sent had the wrong anniversary date. Another congratulated someone on happy retirement when the guy had only taken a 2-week cruise. It was painful to watch. Templated personalization that collapsed the second someone actually read it. I didn't need to respond. The clients were doing that work for me. Then the rumors started. One of my old Tolve coworkers texted me late one night. You didn't hear this from me, but the board's getting involved. Leadership had started digging into retention reports, revenue drops, and Crystal's so-called transition plan after I left. She was pulled into 2 emergency reviews. I wasn't in the room, but I heard enough. She told them I was poaching clients. All anyone had to do was check the timeline. Every call I took, every contract I signed, the clients reached out after the public deletion meeting. Some within hours, others days later. Not a single one had been contacted by me first. The data cleared me. The damage buried her. One morning, I came in and Chloe handed me a printout. Crystal's last blast, she said. It was a mass email sent to key clients. Limited time rate drop. Promises of personal care from senior leadership. Nobody replied. That was the last time Crystal's name crossed my radar for a while. The truth was, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to embarrass her. She had done all of that herself. I just gave people another option, and they took it. I was onboarding a chain of organic grocers when my assistant knocked on the glass. Call from George Langley, she said. He says it's urgent. I stared at her for a second. I hadn't heard that name in weeks. Put him through. He came on smooth and polite, like he hadn't slipped out of the room the day I resigned. Zelda, I'm hoping we can discuss a possible path forward. Didn't realize we were still on the same road. He laughed. That thin executive chuckle people use when they're nervous but trying to hide it. Look, Tolve has had a rough couple of months. We've reevaluated certain leadership dynamics and would like to offer you a position. I leaned back in my chair and spun it slowly. Go on. Senior Vice President of Client Strategy, full control over engagement systems, hiring, direction, all of it. What's the pay? Double your previous salary, plus annual bonus and stock options. Anything else? Full team. Your call on structure. We're flexible. I let the silence stretch long enough to make him uncomfortable. Then I said, Forward Loop gave me that same control before it was trending. He cleared his throat. I don't think you're seeing the scope of what we're offering. I think I see it perfectly. I paused. I'm not coming back, George. He didn't argue, just muttered a quiet, understood, and hung up. A month later, Tolve laid off a third of its staff. Word spread that they sold off 2 regional divisions to a Chicago-based firm no one had heard of. Crystal didn't make the cut. Someone sent me a screenshot of her updated LinkedIn profile. Consultant. Organizational efficiency available for short-term contracts. No mention of Tolve. No titles. Just a faded headshot and a list of made-up wins. That same day, Chloe called me into her office. We want to make it official, she said, sliding a contract across the desk. Forward Loop letterhead. Big title across the top. Managing Partner. Client Division. I signed it before I sat down. The office I used to have? Now I had an entire floor. A full team. Real glass walls, not stickers pretending to be glass. I didn't chase clients. They came to us. Every time a renewal came through, I knew why. Not pricing, not perks. Trust. We remembered the name of their warehouse dog. We knew when their kid got married. We showed up when no one else did. Then the messages started coming in. Not from clients. From my old coworkers. One line at a time. Wish I'd followed you. You were right. Any openings over there? I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. I replied when I had room, and I kept building. I didn't burn anything down. Crystal did that herself, one spreadsheet at a time. Her obsession with process blinded her to the simplest truth. People don't stay because you follow rules. They stay because they feel like they matter. There were no lawsuits, no public drama, no NDAs, no headlines, just doors quietly closing behind her, one client at a time. Now when I walk the forward loop floor, I don't see rows of gray desks and silence. I see pictures of kids taped to monitors, notes about birthdays, drawings from a driver's niece pinned to a whiteboard. Every name in our system has a note that isn't about money, it's about people. One guy in Florida likes lemon donuts. Another skips Wednesdays to take his wife to chemo. One client has a cat named Boots, who keeps knocking over the label printer. We know. We remember. And every time I get an email that starts with, "You probably don't remember, but," I always do. They thought it was inefficient. I proved it was everything. And the truth is, I didn't need revenge. I just got too damn good to ignore.